Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If today is your first time coming across my channel, I say you are highly welcome. This is Omotsi. If you are new on my channel, I say a very big thank you to you and to all my returning subscribers. I love you. Now today's video will be making this Iro and Buba. If this is what you are interested in learning, kindly watch to the very end, and please don't forget to turn on the notification bell in case I drop a new video. You'll be the first to be notified. And please like and share my videos. If you have any question for me, you can drop them in the comment section. So let's get started. This is the fabric I'll be working with. I have 6 years here, but I'll be making use of 4 years of this fabric. I've cut out the wrapper, which for a medium size you'll be using 2 years and 12 inches, but if you are working with a plus size, you make use of 2 years 16 inches or 2 years 2.5. Are you getting me? So this is my wrapper. I've cut it out already. So the next thing to do now is to start working on the buba. So to know what to fold, you measure the length of your client. The length of the buba, you measure it. For mine, I'm using 24, added 2 inches to it, which is 26. So 26 divided times 2, I mean 26 multiplied by 2 will give me 56. So I'm trying to measure out 56. Are you getting? Whatever you have as your client's measurement, add 2 inches to it and you multiply it by 2. So I have 52 at that point. So I'll be folding it into 2. Just watch what I'm doing. I folded it into 2. Please, you fold it. You'll be working on the wrong side. Please work on the wrong part of the fabric. So I folded it into 2 and I later folded it into 2 again, which is I folded it into 4. So that part I'm touching at that side, I have it folded. This upper side also is folded, while this side is the service area. So see where the service area is facing. Then we have our length that way. So the next thing to do now is to start our measurement. So to determine what to measure, the bust circumference is the biggest part of the body. We'll have make use of the hip, but since the buba is not getting to the hip, that's why we are using our bust. So the bust I'm working with is 40 divided by 4 will give me 10. I added 2.5 to it. So whatever your bust is, multiply it, divide it by 4, I mean, then you add 2.5 to it. So then I'll connect it with a straight line as you see me doing the video. So the next thing to do now is to measure out the neckline. The neckline I'm using is 3.5. If you want it more bigger, wider than this, you can make use of 4. So I'll be using 3.5 for the width and 3.5 for the depth. Then I will connect it this way. So the next thing to do now is to measure the length of the buba. As I've said earlier, the length I'm working with is 24 inches. So I'll be placing the tape this way, 24, and I'll measure out the length of the buba, which is 24. So whatever I have left will serve as the hemming of the buba. So the next thing now is to cut it out. I've cut it out. After cutting, this is what you should have. So this remaining fabric is not a waste. You can still make use of it. If your sleeve is not too long, you can still make use of it. Are you getting me? Because the sleeve length I'm working with, to determine that, you place your tape at the center of your neck at the back and you measure it down to wherever you want your sleeve to be. As for mine, I'll be adding another fabric to this because the remaining fabric is not enough to get where the sleeve length I want. Are you getting me? So I've placed another fabric this way. I've placed another fabric. So what I needed, can you see what I have there is not up to what I need. So I've placed another fabric to get my sleeve. So what I needed for the sleeve was 26 inches plus the hemming allowance. I needed 26, but what I have on the other one was 22. Can you see that it won't be enough? That's why I removed that and I placed another fabric to get the length of my sleeve. So this is it. I've measured it out. The next thing to do now is to measure the sleeve length, to measure the sleeve length, our sleeve opening, to measure that part. So I'll be making use of 11 and a half. Measure your armhole and add 2 inches to it. Measure your armhole and add 2 to 2.5 inches to it. So that's what I've done at that part. So I will be cutting out that 11 and a half on this new fabric, which is serving as my sleeve. So you do the same thing, whatever your armhole is, measure it out and add 2 to 2.5 inches to it. So I've cut it out. This is what I have. Can you see? So I'll be notching that part. And I will notch the center of the sleeve also. So I've notched it and this is what I have. This is it. Our buba is almost ready. So the next thing to do now is to cut the rope for the wrapper. That rope they always put at the back of the wrapper. And you see, I folded it into two first and I folded it to another two, which is into four. I have the length I'm working with is 5 inches and the width is 30 inches. 5 inches by 30 inches. If you have more than that, you can still do 32 for the width. So at that point I'm marking, I'll be making use of 3 inches. I will mark 3 inches at that point and I will connect it all the way to that 5 inches with my straight rule, as you see me do in the video. So after connecting it that way, I will cut out the excess I have there. I'll be cutting out the remaining that I have there. So I've cut it out. This is it. I have two. I'll be sewing it. After sewing it down, then I will turn it outward. So this is my sleeve. The next thing is to start joining. You fold the hem of your sleeve this way. Fold it by whatever allowance you added to the hem. You fold it. After folding, then you sew it by 1 inch. You close it up by 1 inch. You do the same thing to the other sleeve. So after doing that, so this is it. I've hemmed the down part and I've sewn the side by 1 inch. So I'm trying to trim out the excess I'm having at that point. So the next thing to do is to take the buba, you open it up this way, you turn it to the right side, you open up the buba, that center, that shoulder that you have notched and the part you have notched on the sleeve also, right side facing each other, you place them on each other and you pin them down. You pin it down the same way you see me do in the video. You continue to pin it down till you get to that same line. Then you do the same thing to the other. You turn it, you flip it back to the other side also. Just watch what I'm doing, please. Can you see I'm doing it? You pin it down all around, then you sew on it by 1/2 inch. At that point I'm holding, then you sew it also down by 1/2 inch. Are you getting me? You sew it all the way down. When you get to the down part, you leave like, you take up your hemming allowance and you measure like 4 to 5 inches. You stop your sewing at that 4 to 5 inches. So yeah, let me do it on the machine so you can see what I'm trying to explain. You can get what I'm trying to explain. Place that notch part of the sleeve and the notch part of the main bodies on each other, and you sew it down. Start sewing by half an inch. You remove your pin. Sew it, you continue to sew till you get to that same area. You stop. I don't want to fast forward this, please. I want you people to get it. That's why I'm trying to take my time. You see that same part? When you get to that same part, you stop your sewing. When you see, you stop your sewing, then you flip it to the other side and also do the same. You see, I'm trying to start from the shoulder out again. I'm trying for the shoulder again. So I've sewn it down. After sewing it, the next thing is to close the side. I'm closing the side. So you just place it on that part that you see me holding. On that part, you sew it down by. And you see, just sew it down by half an inch away from that part. Then you continue with 1 inches all the way to that 4 or 5 inches that you have marked. You stop on that 4 or 5 inches that you have marked away from your hemming allowance. Please note, away from your hemming allowance. Can you see? So I'll be stopping my sewing at that point. So our buba is ready. So I've hemmed the down parts. Can you see? That's the part I'm talking about the other time. So what remains now is to hem the neckline. I'll be making use of my bias to hem the neckline. I'm making use of this machine bias to hem it. So our buba is ready. What remains now is to give it a very good press. Now we'll be moving to the wrapper. So this is it. So this is the belt. I've sewn it down. I'll be notching the angles. I'll be doing the same thing to the other side also. Then I will turn it out and give it a very good press. Right now we don't have light. I'll be ironing it later. So this is it. I've turned it out. This is the two belts. So the next thing to do now is to sew the wrapper. So as I've said earlier, I measured 2 and 12 inches, 2 yards 12 inches for a medium. For a plus size, 2 yards 16 inches or 2.5 yards. So the next thing to do is to fold by half an inch first, then you fold by 1.2 or 1.5 inches. Are you getting me? So you fold it half an inch inward first, then you fold by 1.2, 1.25 or 1.5. Then you sew it all the way down. You do the same thing to the other side. So after sewing both sides of the wrapper, you turn it to the good side, the right side. Then you place the belt. Can you see? Just watch closely what I'm doing in the video. You place the belt this way, the small parts of the belt. You place the small part of the belt this way. You sew it down by half an inch. So after sewing it down, you flip it this way. You're seeing me doing in the video. You flip it this way. and you sew it down. You sew it down at both end as you see me do. So you do the same thing to the other side. Then our wrapper is ready. If you have found this video helpful, kindly give it a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe to my video, and please don't forget to turn on your notification bell in case I drop a new video. See you in my next video. Bye.